God damn, what a fight that would be.
The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as the sport's two best welterweights and top 5 pound-for-pound active boxers, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., are finally set to face off in what could be an instant classic and the fight of the decade.
What the hell took this fight so long to happen? We've been waiting years for this.
Who do you think will win, Errol Spence or Terence Crawford?
I like Crawford a lot. It's gonna be interesting. I like Crawford, but it ain't gonna be an easy fight, I don't think.
How do you see that fight between Errol Spence and Bud Crawford?
You know, that's a great matchup. Like I said before, I feel like Spence is the bigger welterweight. He's the bigger, stronger guy. He throws a lot of punches. It's going to be interesting to see how Spence fights another southpaw like him.
Both undefeated, boasting impressive knockout records, these fighters have proven themselves in the ring time and time again and bring unique styles that'll push the other fighter to his limits. Terence Crawford is pound-for-pound #1 on many analysts' and commentators' lists.
With Terence, it's all mental. I'm gonna ask him, hey yo, can you be broken? He's good.
This is due to his exceptional skills and accomplishments in the ring against the toughest opponents in multiple weight classes and dominating all of them. He has superb technique, quick reflexes and excellent footwork, allowing him to transition smoothly and consistently between offensive striking and defensive positions. He's considered the greatest and most well-known switch stance boxer of them all. With these skills and attributes, Crawford has been boxing's most difficult puzzle for opponents to solve for the better part of a decade. Meanwhile, Errol Spence Jr. is also highly regarded as another top pound-for-pound boxer for good reason. His undefeated record showcases his brilliant boxing technique, his formidable boxing defense utilizing head movement, shoulder rolls, tight guard and footwork has made him a very tough opponent to land significant strikes on. His strength and conditioning is also superb, giving him an advantage over most fighters in output for combos and volume of punches thrown. The truth, as Spence is known, is fully capable of switching seamlessly between offensive striking and defensive positions and uses his footwork to control range and effectively cut off the ring versus his opponents to control their positions. He then utilizes his jab, one of the best in boxing, to set up devastating power shots in bunches to the head and body, utilizing his conditioning for higher volume than most fighters. His ring generalship allows him to control the pace, setting and style of the fight so he can use it to his advantage versus his opponents. This fight is of utmost significance and importance, showcasing two of the top 5 pound-for-pound boxers in the world who are in their respective primes and in the same weight class, with their own unique, dominant and aggressive styles going head-to-head. When Spence and Crawford face off in the ring this year, it'd mark the first unification of the welterweight title since Zab Judar's reign in 2005-2006. Errol Spence Jr., aged 33, currently boasts an undefeated record of 28-0, while 35-year-old Crawford has 39 wins, with 30 of those being made inside the distance. With each superstar knockout percentage above 78%, this may be the most exciting fight in boxing this decade, and is reminiscent of the classic welterweight battles of the 1970s and 1980s between Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, and marvelous Marvin Hagler. The two titans are set to clash on the 29th of July 2023 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada.
How many times in the history of boxing two evenly matched, undefeated, complete fighters, fast power punching, sharp shooting, skillful on offense and defense, forward and backward, inside and out, head and body, chin and heart tested, still in their primes, fighting at their best weights, have ever faced each other to unify a division with the title of best pound-for-pound fighter in the world on the line? You know how many times two fighters like that have fought each other?
Let's preview this incredible matchup and discover each fighter's way to be victorious in this super fight of the decade. While Crawford made a name for himself as a multi-division champion, Spence has been focused on collecting welterweight belts. The truth remains undefeated with a record of 28-0, including 22 knockouts. He is the unified welterweight world champion, having held the IBF title since 2017, the WBC title since 2019, and the WBA Super since 2022. With solid fundamentals, devastating punching power, and a larger frame for his division, Spence has established himself as a formidable presence in the 147-pound weight class. Already holding 2 titles, WBC and IBF championships, the truth is arguably the division's top fighter. At just 33 years old and competing in one of boxing's most esteemed weight classes, Spence has the potential to become one of the sport's all-time greats. Crawford is already considered by many boxing experts to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and would only add to his legacy with a win over Spence, who has long been calling him out and seen as his biggest threat ever to date. Spence's fighting style is both efficient and effective. He relies on an aggressive pressure style with his jab, setting up a straight left hand to the head or body. As a southpaw, he has an advantage over orthodox fighters who often struggle against lefties. Thanks to his amateur background, Spence possesses excellent fundamental boxing skills, using his jab to move around the ring and outmaneuver his opponents. He's also a skilled inside fighter, with a punishing body attack and overwhelming power that few can withstand. All in all, Spence could be considered a well-rounded boxer-puncher, with elements of a swarmer thrown in for good measure. The jab. In our opinion, Spence possesses one of the most formidable jabs in boxing, which he deploys masterfully in the ring. The former Olympian generates considerable power behind his right-handed jab by utilizing his footwork to push forward and apply immense pressure on his opponent. This enables him to push his rival back and create opportunities to land his devastating left straight or hook. A prime demonstration of Spence's effective use of the jab was in his fight against Mikey Garcia, where he employed it to keep the smaller man at bay and prevent him from getting inside. Despite being a relatively large welterweight, Spence is adept at utilizing his size to his advantage in the ring. Tactical aggression and pressure. Spence is undeniably one of the top fighters in the sport today when it comes to applying relentless pressure on his opponents. His ability to do so stems from his deep understanding of the optimal distance needed to push his opponents back. As we mentioned earlier, his jab is a vital weapon in this regard. Furthermore, Spence possesses exceptional ring generalship skills, often controlling the center of the ring to force his opponent back toward the ropes, thereby exhausting them or compelling them to engage in a toe-to-toe battle with him. Spence also employs the shift technique to apply pressure, allowing him to rapidly close the distance between himself and his opponent while setting up a power shot, often catching them off guard. As evidenced in his fight against Mikey Garcia, he utilized the Fitzsimmons shift to great effect. Body punching. Indeed, Spence's body punching is a significant weapon in his arsenal. He has a variety of body shots in his arsenal, such as hooks, uppercuts, and straight punches. His ability to throw them accurately and with power has led to many of his opponents breaking down and eventually getting stopped. Moreover, Spence's body punching isn't just limited to when he's on the offensive, but he also uses it as a defensive tactic. By attacking his opponent's body, he forces them to lower their guard, which in turn opens up opportunities for him to land shots to the head. Counterpunching and defense. In addition to his effective counterpunching and footwork, Spence also has good defensive skills, which are often overlooked. He uses his excellent head movement to avoid punches and his high guard to block and deflect them. This allows him to conserve his energy and stay fresh in the later rounds of the fight. Spence also has a strong chin, which enables him to take shots from his opponents and stay in the fight. His ability to absorb punches and remain composed under pressure is a testament to his mental toughness and resilience in the ring. With that said, let's look at some of his finest wins. Spence versus Kell Brook. On May 27, 2017, Errol Spence Jr. faced a moment of truth as he took on Kell Brook, the undefeated IBF Welterweight Champion from Sheffield, England. Many wondered if Spence, one of boxing's hottest prospects, could finally secure a world title. Despite coming off a TKO loss against middleweight Gennady Golovkin, Brook was still a formidable opponent. The Sheffield Showdown was an exciting and closely contested bout, with both fighters demonstrating their toughness and landing significant shots. Brook initially took the fight to Spence, backing him up against the ropes and exchanging blows on both the inside and outside. However, as the fight progressed, Brook's growing fatigue became apparent, and by the 9th round, Spence was landing crisper punches.
For the Brook camp,
good shot from Errol Spence Jr. there.
In the 10th round, Spence's barrage of punches forced Brook to take a knee.
Kell Brook's hurt here, and he's down.
Despite this setback, Brook displayed remarkable resilience and finished the round strongly with vicious right hands. However, in the 11th round, Spence continued his attacking onslaught and put Special K on the back foot. The fight ended after Brook took another knee due to damage to his left eye socket, which required surgery after a similar injury to his right eye socket in his previous bout with Golovkin. Spence's victory over Brook earned him his first world title and marked a significant milestone in his career. Spence versus Danny Garcia. On December 5, 2020, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia faced off in a highly anticipated welterweight battle. Garcia, with a record of 36-2 and former titles at welterweight and super lightweight, was considered one of the top fighters in the division. Spence, known as The Truth, surprised many by earning a unanimous decision victory over Garcia. Throughout the fight, Spence maintained a consistent and relentless pace, utilizing a strong jab and attacking Garcia's body and head. Despite Garcia's efforts to counter and fight back, he struggled to find his rhythm against Spence's effective aggression. While While Garcia had some success in the 4th round, landing right hands on the body and head, he was unable to follow up with significant combinations.
On the side, and there's a body shot, little right hand to the body and then the head.
Spence, on the other hand, remained the aggressor throughout the fight and ultimately secured the victory. Spence versus Sean Porter. On September 28, 2019, Errol Spence added another impressive win to his record by defeating Sean Porter in a unification bout. Going into the fight, both fighters held welterweight titles. Spence held the IBF belt while Porter was the WBC champion. The match was an intense and action-packed affair, with both men throwing punches from the get-go. In the early rounds, Spence displayed his technical prowess and power, landing several hard shots on Porter. However, Porter never backed down and kept pushing forward, landing significant punches of his own while enduring Spence's brutal bodywork. The championship fight was a true test of the fighters' hearts and chins. In the 11th round, Spence knocked Porter down with a powerful left hook, but Porter got back up and continued to fight until the final bell. In the end, Spence was declared the winner by split decision, having landed more punches and showing superior ring generalship. The victory not only solidified Spence's status as a top fighter in the welterweight division, but also made him the only current welterweight champion to unify his titles. The other side of the ring. Terence Crawford is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world today, and his greatest asset is his mind.
I've never seen anybody with better instincts than Crawford.
Despite possessing considerable speed and power, it's Crawford's calculating intelligence that sets him apart from his peers. He's developed into one of the most complete fighters in the sport of boxing, with an impassive and stoic facial expression that remains unchanged whether he's fighting for his life or chasing down a wounded opponent. Although Crawford is notorious for slow starts, he's consistently outthought his opponents and emerged victorious, with none able to keep up with him down the stretch. Despite facing opponents who have gotten the better of him in spots, Crawford's intelligence and mental fortitude have always carried him through to the end. Crawford possesses a complete boxing style that enables him to adjust to his opponent's style, showcasing his exceptional boxing IQ.
And another combination. Beautiful work by Crawford.
His opponents find it extremely challenging to cope with his ability to switch effortlessly from southpaw to orthodox stance and vice versa. Although he can comfortably box from both stances, he predominantly prefers the southpaw position, which most of his orthodox opponents have struggled to contend with. Crawford has developed and perfected this style throughout his entire career, which is quite uncommon in modern boxing. It typically takes years to master one stance, yet he can comfortably execute all his techniques proficiently, regardless of the stance he employs. Switching and southpaw stance. As mentioned previously, Crawford favors fighting from a southpaw stance and tends to utilize this against most of his opponents. However, when facing orthodox fighters, he may still begin in a southpaw stance but will switch positions mid-round or even for an entire round depending on his opponent's approach. This relaxed movement in his southpaw stance often causes orthodox fighters to overcommit and leave themselves open to powerful left-hand counters. With his height of 5'8" and reach of 74 inches, Crawford prefers to keep most opponents at a distance. He employs various techniques such as shuffling back in straight lines, pivoting left or right, and circling his opposition using lateral steps, especially when he's on the back foot. Using his feet as his primary defense makes him incredibly elusive and difficult to hit for his opponents, emphasizing the significance of footwork in boxing. When it comes to counter-punching, Crawford often catches orthodox fighters off guard with his counter right hooks, particularly when they throw a jab. Pressure and finishing. Crawford's reputation as one of the best finishers in boxing is well-deserved, particularly given the number of world title fights he's won since 2014. His devastating counterpunches, particularly the left and right hooks, are often used to catch opponents off guard, leaving them on the defensive, once he's gained the uppers that break through high guards. This frequently results in a decisive victory for Crawford, as his opponents struggle to defend themselves. Although Crawford is sometimes hit in the process, and his power allows him to finish them off when he has the opportunity. While his aggressive approach leaves him open to counterpunches, the risk is usually worth it, given his ability to quickly finish off his challengers once he has them hurt. Adaptability to any style. In our view, Crawford's skill to adjust his style according to his opponent's style is a testament to his completeness as a fighter. He recognizes that styles can affect fights, and therefore tailors his approach to each match. This versatility is what distinguishes Crawford as one of the best boxers in the world today. While his ability to fight from both stances is undoubtedly significant, it's his boxing intelligence and experience of facing different boxing styles that have contributed to his achievements in the sport. With that said, let's look at his technique in action with his best wins. Crawford versus Julius Indongo. Crawford arrived at the fight with an unblemished record and held the WBC and WBO World titles, with the bout being a highly anticipated contest for the Undisputed Light Welterweight Championship. The opening round saw both fighters attempting to assert their presence in the center of the ring, engaging in a battle of the jabs with no significant punches landed. The second round started similarly, but Crawford began to increase his output halfway through the round. With 1 minute left, he connected with a straight left hand that sent Ndongo, the Namibian champion, to the canvas. Although Ndongo rose before the referee's count of 5, he survived the rest of the round. The third round began with both fighters throwing jabs and missing with the occasional left hand from the southpaw stance. A minute into the round, Ndongo began to put together combinations and move toward Crawford. However, halfway through the round, as Ndongo rushed in on the offensive, Crawford landed 2 solid body punches, dropping Ndongo for a second time. Ndongo laid on his back, wincing in pain, and the referee reached the count of 10, crowning Crawford as the new Undisputed Light Welterweight Champion with a third round knockout. Crawford versus Kell Brook. Kell Brook has faced both Spence and Crawford and sadly lost to both. In his fight against Crawford, Brook was aiming for a historic British victory on foreign soil, but instead, Crawford demonstrated his status as one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. Brook started strong, relying heavily on his lead jab, and won the first 2 rounds while keeping Crawford's slow start in check. However, Crawford's experience and ring savvy allowed him to switch to a southpaw stance midway through the second round, taking away Brook's jab and causing Crawford's eye to swell. In the third round, Crawford became more aggressive, landing combinations that Brook couldn't answer. Early in the fourth round, Crawford landed a short right hand that stunned Brook, causing him to crash into the ropes. Although he received a standing count from the referee, Crawford continued to dominate and eventually finished the fight.
Thundering in. Look at Crawford. Vicious attack to close it.
Crawford versus Jeff Horn. Crawford was in total control the entire fight, including the third round as he landed right hooks, straight left hands and clean jabs that rocked Horn's head back. Horn, who suffered a small cut over his right eye in the fourth round, had no answers for anything, and it didn't get much better. Crawford, meanwhile, looked like he was having fun. He stuck his tongue out and wound up with some punches as he nailed Horn with heavy shots from all angles, especially straight lefts, in what was easy work. When Horn, 30, balled Crawford to the ropes in the sixth round, Crawford got away after landing a left uppercut that stunned Horn. In the eighth round, Crawford, who was adept at switching stances, turned right-handed and continued to find a home for his blows. He had Horn in big trouble as he lashed him with crushing punches that probably would have put opponents away when he fought in the smaller junior welterweight and lightweight divisions. But Horn topped up the enormous punishment and showed a great chin to take the shots, but he could take them for only so long. Crawford continued to pound him in the ninth round, landing 2 right hands and a left that hurt him badly and forced him to touch his gloves to the canvas for a knockdown. Crawford was all over him when the fight resumed, and as he blasted him with both hands, the referee jumped in to stop the fight.
That's it. It's over. It's over.
Overall, both are legendary boxers who have the tools necessary to take down their opponent. Whatever the outcome of this fight, one thing is for certain. It's going to make fans go crazy. The boxing world doesn't only want this fight, but it needs it.
When you look at the fight, you say, okay, you got 2 undefeated top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in their prime going head-to-head for the Undisputed Welterweight Championship of the world. 2 action-packed fighters. What more do you need?
A true super fight for the ages. A true toss-up who has the advantage. We don't know who will win, but we're excited to witness it. With that said, thank you for watching and we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys enjoyed it. Until next time.